Ghost of Yotei fans are coping hard, or Ghost of Antifa, as Hypnotic would say. Shout outs to Hypnotic. After weeks of trust me, bro, tweets, fake hype, the truth is finally out. This game's sales are tanking. We're talking a 40% drop compared to Ghost of Tsushima, and the excuses that they're using to try to cover up the failure are beyond pathetic, guys. So we're going to break down what's really going on here, the fake numbers, the spin, and why this flop actually matters for Sony's future. So let's go ahead and talk about this circus, guys. There's a viral post that's going around claiming that Ghost of Tsushima has already been outsold by Ghost of Yotei. And for me, I'm calling Bravo Sierra to that. Total BS. Over 1 million copies in a few days, they say. Here's the catch, though. This report doesn't come from Sony. They haven't made an announcement. Sucker Punch hasn't said anything. There's not even a legit analyst that's talked about this. It's literally from a random dude on Twitter who swears the game has passed 1.3 million copies sold. It's a trust me bro tweet. At the end of the day, like I said, trust me bros mean absolutely nothing. And people are actually running with it like it was gospel. And that's what this media journalist spin is. They're so desperate for this game to have a W and a win. And I'm not reaching to try to be like, oh, this game failed because it's woke and stuff like that. This is the same song and dance that we've seen 100 times, guys. When a game is pushing identity politics or representation, the gaming media needs it to be a success, because if it's not, they lose their grift. They call us grifts, but they lose their grift. They can't admit that Yotei is underperforming, so they just make stuff up like Ghost of Yotei is more loved than Tsushima. It's selling faster. It's the best. It's, yeah, sure, guys, except there's no official word. There's no official data to back it up. No post from PlayStation, like I said. No statement from Sucker Punch. There's nothing here. Nada. Zip. Why? Because Sony probably doesn't want to confirm a number that isn't as impressive as we're being led to believe here. And that's facts, guys. Here's what we know, okay? And this is the part that they're praying that you don't notice. According to UK sales charts, which we're going to look at an article from Video Games Chronicle here in a minute, physical copies of Ghost of Yotei are down 40% from Tsushima's launch. 40%, guys. That's a lot. That's almost 50. That's 10% away from half down. And remember, this is just from the UK, okay? Where a region where physical sales are already tiny, small compared to North America. If even that, if their numbers are low there, what does that mean globally? If they're 40% down in the UK, imagine how the numbers are doing globally. That's a big yikes here. So the media is trying to, I guess, maintain their narrative. They're trying to explain it. They're doing backflips literally like, oh, COVID inflated Tsushima sales. The PS4 had a bigger install base. People buy digital only now. I'm not buying it. Now, some of those might be true, like the digital only case, but I'm not buying it. Come on. Digital sales didn't jump 40% in 5 years. You're telling me that? This is damage control, plain and simple. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article real quick. Here's the article that I'm referring to. This is from Video Games Chronicle, guys. It says, after just 1 week, top of the UK physical charts, EA Sports FC 26 drops the title to Ghost of Yotei, but physical sales of Sucker Punch's latest are reportedly 40% down on Ghost of Tsushima's. But this article literally glazes the fact that even though it's 40% down, they're thinking that it's an impressive number. It's a weird media spin, like I said. The media needs this to be a win, because if not, the chuds are right. And that goes against every single little narrative that they have out there that promotes their ideologies and all that. They cannot have this game fail at all. So let's take a quick gander at some of the stuff in this article, like I said. It says that not everyone would expect that this reign for FC 26 would last just 1 week. However, that's what happened. According to the game business editor, Christopher Dring, this week's chart sees EA Sim dropping down. PS5 exclusive Ghost of Yotei taking the top spot, saying that the UK box launch for Ghost of Yotei is really, really good. It is number one, which means it beat the second week of EA Sports FC 26 and sold almost 3 times what Mario Galaxy 1 plus 2 on Switch did. So keep in mind, this is the UK box sales. This isn't worldwide. Going on, it says, when one follower asked Dring how Yotei's physical UK sales compared to those of its predecessor, he replied, it's down 40%, but I still find it impressive. Again, that to me sounds like damage control. It sounds like media spin. It sounds like somebody that doesn't want to admit that it's an L. Going on, it says, although a drop 40% may seem drastic, it's partly explained by various circumstances. When Ghost of Tsushima was released in July 2020, it did so during the midst of the COVID pandemic, which saw a general boost in the number of video game sales. Tsushima also released on PS4 near the end of its life as main console, with the PS5 set to release just 4 months later. As such, the player base was much higher than that of the PS5 as it currently stands. Finally, the ratio of physical to digital sales has continued to shift in the 5 years since Tsushima's release, with more players continuing to transition to digital purchases. Some of the UK physical charts naturally doesn't include in its number. So there's some of that. But to me, I still think there's a little bit of a media spin being pushed here. Yeah, you could try to say that I'm trying to reach for the grift here, but down 40%, yeah, I'm not buying that it's a success. Okay, I think obviously the budget is probably much higher than Ghost of Tsushima's was, and if it's down 40%, there's no way they're going to be making their budget. But I digress, guys. I absolutely digress. I just think this is suspect 110%. Let's continue. Now, after looking at all this, guys, the part that really gets me is the media gaslighting. They're calling this impressive. I'm not joking. This article that we just looked at literally said a 40% drop is still impressive. Where on God's green earth does that make sense? Imagine losing about half of your audience, again, 40%, and patting yourself on the back. That's not journalism, guys. That's literal PR disguised as an article. And speaking of PR, have you seen their reviews, guys? 5 out of 5 stars. Perfect game. They're acting like this thing has cured cancer. And meanwhile, it's literally the same game as Ghost of Tsushima. Same world, same combat, just more mini games. There's a female lead, and yeah, you can cut the grass. Apparently, that makes it groundbreaking. It's revolutionary, right? But here's why it matters. Because I know some of you, why do you even care? This is why this flop actually matters, guys. Sony built Ghost of Yotei up as their next big title, the next prestige title. They're proof that swapping out your male lead and checking every social box on the DEI checklist is still profitable. And if it underperforms, especially compared to Tsushima, that entire narrative is going to collapse and they have nothing to stand on. It exposes the truth that people don't want to be lectured. People don't want to be lectured in their games. They want fun. They want good gameplay. They want something real, not some kind of focus test clone design to score social media points on Blue Sky or whatever the freaking lefties are on now. So let's see what happens when the Japanese sales drop, when we start seeing numbers from elsewhere, because that's where Tsushima dominated. Over 200,000 copies were sold week one. Apparently, if Ghost of Yotei doesn't even come close to that, the excuses are going to be wild here, guys. It's going to be fireworks. And you already know we'll be talking about it. We're going to be relishing in that. So what do you guys think? Is this 40% drop just digital sales and it's still impressive? Or is this proof that that forced PR hype can't even save a mediocre game? Let me know down below in the comments. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it. Either way, throw some engagement. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. I'd like for you guys to hit that sub. Thank you so much. I'm going to end it right there. Peace out.